All right. So I'm here with Tom Torres from Caffe and Paul from RTB Limited. And this is our podcast. So we're going to talk about our Caffe and business and how people, process, and profits tie into his success. So this is Tom Torres. Tom, tell us a little about yourself and your business.
All right. My name is Tom. I'm 44 years old. Been in business for 16 years. Was in the Marines for 8. Did some bartending. Decided to go into business for myself. Read a few books that said that in order to get ahead in life, you have to own your own business. Didn't know what I was going to do, how I was going to go. My choices were war or work for myself. And I chose to work for myself. So I have a business partner, and it's been going great for 16 years. Caffe à la Mode, Warwick, New York. It's been great.
So Tom's Cafe is in the town where I grew up, and it's probably the centerpiece of Warwick, where you go out for coffee, bagels, breakfast, lunch, and it's kind of like a meeting place. It's like the town hall in town. So, RTB, we focus on basically your initiative and staying on a path, right, to grow. And we focus on people, process, and profits, right?
Right.
And we want companies to ring the bell. And so we want to use your model as a successful model of a business. So tell us about your people,
okay,
a positive side of your people, and then a challenge that you've had with the people side of the business.
Well, I will tell you that Warwick has given us a great crop of young people to choose from.
Mm-hmm.
We do have a college, Orange County Community College.
I went to OC.
Yeah, so did I. Best education.
You can go to a community college, you have real grit. That's
for sure.
The true difference.
So we have the high school students and we have some college students. And so first of all, I will say that's probably been our biggest asset, is that we have a good crop of young people who come in. And as far as the process of what we do, just to be
on the people side.
On the people side, we make it very difficult for them in the very beginning. We want to see if you have it in you to gut it out. I know it's a cafe job. People think that it's pouring coffee and smiles, but it's work. It's a lot of work. There's a lot behind the process to keep the food fresh, to keep everything, to keep the processes in place, and to balance everything out across the board. How do I put this? We're tough. We're tough on them in the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
We see if they're going to sink or swim, if they have it in them to stay. And then as they start to show that this is what they want, this is what they can handle, we start to ease up on them and we work them through the training process. They're not allowed to collect tips until they show that they've got a working knowledge of the menu, the drinks, the food, the processes, and I give them one final test. And the test isn't just to know the drinks or the menu or the processes. I will take them through real world scenarios and make sure that they can think on their feet. Yeah. I make them think on their feet.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
And as far as the challenges go, the biggest challenge I think is just consistency, getting everybody on the same page. That's always a very difficult thing because it's subjective. People want to put a little bit more of this, a little less of that. So consistency, but that's, Scott and I's job as a business is to try to get everybody on the.
Have you written out your training plan so that if, say, for example, you're away, you hire someone new, someone else can onboard that person other than you and Scott?
Absolutely.
Okay. So Absolutely. You have those written out already.
Absolutely.
So
3-page, it goes cash handling, in the process of cash handling, interacting with the customers, mm-hmm. greeting. Then it goes drinks. You have to learn all the drinks. One after the most important thing. The drinks are the number one emphasis of the business. That if you don't know those drinks, you're not going to get on tips.
And it's not like coffee drinks. It's like it's
shakes. It's an extensive menu, but it's not as hard as you think it is. It's just a little modification. It changes the name. It seems like it's a lot, but that's kind of part of it. Is are you going to be overwhelmed by it, or are you going to rise to the challenge?
Right.
And
and that's been your biggest challenge, though, is really keeping it consistent.
Absolutely.
Right. And where have you found the best employees? Is there other than, the community college, which obviously you and I know if you can finish community college, then you can pretty much finish anything, because it's difficult.
It is.
It's a lot harder than going away to a 4-year school.
That's right.
You're getting pulled in a lot different. Most people will probably work like I did and you did to get through school. So it's difficult, right? And even Angela Duckworth, she wrote a book called Grit, right? And she actually talks about people who graduate community college have a higher success rate than people who go to 4-year schools. Not diminishing 4-year education, but if you can grit through a community college education and then move on to the higher level, you will move on to a higher level and to a higher pay.
Funny that you should say that, because I think the most difficult employees we've ever had are people who think they're above it.
Right.
They graduate, they think they're above it. They're just there to go through the motions, and they think they're above it. And I mean, Scott and I will wash toilets, we'll do dishes, we'll scrub, we'll do whatever we need to do. We're not above anything, and we won't tolerate any employees that feel they're above it.
It's funny. It's one of my leadership mantras is I do not tell or ask anyone to do anything I've never done myself.
That's right.
Right. We were both in the military. So for us, I'm not going to ask you to dig a foxhole to standard if I've never done it myself.
Right.
Which is not easy.
Right.
Right. You're getting a 6-foot hole wide enough to have 2 machine gun placements, to have a grenade pit, the proper steps to get out. It takes a long time to do, and it kicks your butt. But I'm not going to ask you to do it if I can't do it. So it's like a train the trainer type situation.
Lead by example.
That's right. So I love that. And I think that's probably why you've been successful, is because you're not, hey, I've made the chai. I've made the coffee drinks. I've washed the toilets. I've cooked. There's nothing in this place that you can tell me that I've never done before.
Right.
And I can tell you the best and worst practices by doing it.
Now, with that, all of that being said, it creates a culture. That's kind of one of the things that I think came unexpected, was that Scott and I try to raise the standard to what everybody's trying to raise up to. It creates a culture. And once the employees have made it through the process, they demand it of each other, which eases things up for Scott and I. Mm-hmm. They're the ones that will see and isolate those that aren't rising to the challenge.
But you don't have to do it.
And we don't.
You've created a culture of success and perfection, but in the sense of, hey, there's always room to improve.
That's right.
Right. So, hey, you did a great job.
To include us.
Right. You did a great job on that, but just for the future, you should add the cinnamon last. I'm just using that as an example, right?
Exactly.
Instead of adding it first. Right?
Sure.
Great. So on the process side, successes and challenges.
I would say the key to our success, I think, has been, as far as the process goes, the efficiency in which we make the food. Mm-hmm. I've worked in fast food. Scott worked for CVS. I did.
I hated it.
Yeah. Retail is no joke.
No.
So Scott's very good at placement, product placement, mm-hmm. the order in which things, you go from coffee to your gum, you get a muffin and right to the register, and the efficiency. On the back side of things, we have the cook line, and all the ingredients are right there within arm's reach.
Front of the house, first back of the house.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. And we move fast.
Right.
We move fast.
You have to.
There's no waste of time.
It's fast casual.
Right. Exactly.
It's not fast food, which is different.
That's right.
Fast food is pre-prepared. Most fast food is pre-prepared. Fast casual is prepared on the spot, and it's considered to be eat it and go, but it's fresh.
Right.
Right. That's exactly what you're doing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And we get to use the ingredients in our breakfast, our lunch, and our dinner. Mm-hmm. So if we brought on spinach. Now we use our spinach in our omelets. We use it in our wraps. We use it in our salads. We use it on our burgers.
Right.
Our quesadillas.
It makes sense.
Right.
Work smarter, not harder.
Exactly. Right. Keeps the food fresh. Keeps everything turning over. And so every time we bring in a new item, we always bring in an item that will marry into the entire menu.
Right. That makes sense. And for you, inventory-wise, I guess you manage it, or
we both do.
You and Scott do together.
That kind of happened organically between the two of us. We didn't really talk about it. It just kind of happened. He took over ordering the food. I do more of the paper goods. That kind of happened organically, but it is something we do overlap each other. Mm-hmm. If we're going through something and we have a whiteboard that's in the kitchen, every employee is notified that if you grab the last of something, you to write it on the whiteboard. And we do the same. So we're always covering for each other. We'll work on the same team. And so even though we have our set responsibilities, if I happen to walk and buy something and I see we're running low on cheddar cheese, cheddar cheese goes down on the board. Cream cheese. And he does the same for me. Hey, we're running low on black lids for the coffees.
Cups. Yeah.
He'll write that down.
And then what do you think your challenges are with that? I mean, obviously that's the hardest part. Inventory, especially in food, because of spoilage, is difficult. but is there another challenge that you have? Because it sounds like you kind of mastered it, where you buy enough to basically cover maybe a week,
right,
and before it would spoil, and then after that, you're once you get your whiteboard list and you know what to buy and go to to order in from your distributors. But besides that, because I think that's probably with the fast casual, it's a known problem, right?
Right.
I think
Sure.
so. For the educated people who might not know,
sure.
what are some other challenges in the process side that you've faced?
Well, for us in the beginning, because we started off 116.
Okay, food spoilage is a big problem because it's money,
is.
right?
So what we did was, and I give Scott all the credit for this, because one of the things he did is every time we brought in a new food vendor, he would make sure that they would deliver multiple times a week.
Mm-hmm.
So what we do is we have an entire product list, so that if one company runs out of something, we know that the next day we can get it from another company. And what that does is
a relief pitcher.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's a great way to put it.
Mm-hmm.
And throughout the week, if one thing got by us, we know we can get that same product somewhere else or multiple different places. The biggest challenge, to answer your question, is pricing. So what happens is when you have multiple vendors, one vendor might be 3 times higher than another. So you want to be able to even the product out throughout the week to make sure that you don't have any spoilage, everything is rotating. But it does come at a cost of making sure that you're still getting the best price. So whether romaine is higher for one company or Roma tomatoes for another, the pricing can be kind of an issue, and that fluctuates. So we have to stay on top of that.
Mm-hmm.
So every time we have an invoice, we're always kind of going through and say, hey, well, we got to watch this. The eggs are, is really high on this one, or the bacon is really high on that. We do everything.
So different vendors at different pricing.
Exactly.
So each vendor can affect your margins
for sure,
day to day, week to week,
and it can get by you in 1 week. In
Mm-hmm.
1 week, bacon can be twice as much. Something goes on with the eggs.
Not to mention like pork, pork famine or pig famine.
And it happens. The romaine, we just had it with the romaine.
Right, the recall.
Yeah, we yanked all the romaine off the shelves. We started bringing in spinach and mixed greens, and it's working well. But for sure, that was it's an issue.
I just read a story about that they know the reason behind it. The lettuce farms are next to cattle farms out in California.
Mm.
And the irrigation is basically runoff from the cattle farm pastures, and the E. coli is coming from feces, and it's getting on and into the plants.
Interesting.
So, I mean,
yeah, they need to fix that.
They need to fix that quickly.
They need to fix that.
That's an infrastructure. That's a process change, if anything,
Yes,
right?
for
Is
sure.
that they shouldn't be sitting next to each other.
And that goes to show you how fast something can get out of hand.
Right.
Just that fast.
Look, you've seen it. What's the movie with Dan Aykroyd and Eddie Murphy, when they sell orange stock.
Trading places?
Trading places. Right. Wow. I said it was a total brain fart. But the same thing, like how you can corner the market on orange juice by whether or not they have a frost.
Right.
Right? That's a big
sure.
difference, right? That's going to
Sure.
cost your margins. That's going to affect your dollars and cents.
Absolutely.
So. All right. So go right into dollars and cents. Now, financially,
Mm-hmm.
challenges and successes with it. I mean, obviously running a restaurant, it's one of the everyone thinks they can run a restaurant or start a business in a restaurant because, I can make food, I can make crepes, I can make, hoagies or whatever. But at the end of the day, it's one of the most difficult businesses to start and to succeed with. Now, we have a 16-year history here of success, right?
Right.
And building it up, obviously nothing happens overnight. We'll go into that more, but the financial side of it, tell me where you're really, if you struggled at all, or, what has been, besides the changes in pricing, which, coffee can change day to day,
For sure.
milk, things like that. But
I think our biggest challenge is that we're kind of at a point now where we're dependent on the energy of the town and the surrounding area, the state. We have grown over the years for sure. Month to month, we've had 15 consecutive years of growth. There's a lot of energy in Warwick, so we've gotten to benefit a lot from all the town. Exactly. Just the amount of events that are going on. We're a little subject to that. That's kind of a challenge. I don't want to rely on the pop in the arm that you get from an event right outside your front door.
right, like Apple Fest.
Exactly. So, what are you going to do about that? That's one that we haven't had to address yet, but it's something that's certainly in the back of our mind, we have to pay attention to that. You know,
Right.
what happens if that event doesn't occur every year?
Right.
You know?
So alternative revenue streams is what you're thinking, right? I mean, at some point,
For sure.
if you don't know the Caffe, right, they have awesome food, but they also, they have great coffee, right? And him and I spoke about this offline, is that they could possibly sell their coffee online.
That's right.
And do a e-commerce business through the website, through the Facebook page, through the Instagram page, track it, drive traffic to it, so that you can have that alternative revenue. You're not relying on the town or the weather or anything like that. Those things can be outside your control. You know, something you can add more control to.
That's a perfect segue. Actually, we're not located. If we can start developing our online presence, we're no longer subject to just what's outside of our doors,
right,
or what's going on the outside. Now we have the entire world at our fingertips. Now, for us, we want to make sure that we hold ourselves to the same standard that people have come to expect when they walk through the door.
I see. Scale slowly.
Scale slowly, and also not having enough people who've run brick and mortar and built out the online and do it seamless. Because you have to someone places an order online, you have to take the if the order doesn't go out, quality control doesn't go out correctly, you have to have somebody who can man the phone, and that's not taking away from the people who've walked through your front door. Packaging, product labels, picking things up there. It is a process that we've scratched the surface on, but we've been hesitant to jump into because we don't want to take away from what is successful, and that is the brick and mortar storefront.
Right. That pays your bills every day.
That's probably our biggest number. That's our biggest challenge. But we see that it's there. It's a good problem to have, because we see that we can go out. We can bring in another stream of income from online processes, and which comes to one other last thing, and that would be online ordering.
Mm-hmm.
One of the biggest challenges for us with the online ordering is the amount of modifications per item we have. It's too overwhelming.
Mm-hmm.
We have cold drinks that'll be warm by the time the customer gets there, a frozen drink that'll be melted by the time they get there, a hot wrap that'll be cold by the time they get there. You know, that can really create a problem that we're not ready to address yet. It's how do I put it? It's a challenge that we don't know if we can meet at this point. It would be great if we did. I've had numerous customers tell us they order more online than they do if they had just walked through the store.
Mm-hmm.
They can peruse, they can take their time, they can hit a few buttons. But when you have drinks that can be modified maybe 1,000 different ways, one drink.
Well, I mean, Starbucks has found that solution, right? They've done it with their online ordering.
Right.
And I wouldn't say they're in the same category as you, in the sense that they're not fast casual. They have pre-made breakfast sandwiches, right?
Exactly.
And they're just throwing them in a microwave.
Exactly.
And then putting them in a hot bag.
Fresh and fast.
I understand that, but they're still dealing with the coffee side of it, right? And the drink side of it, which they found a solution. So there's probably a software solution out there for it.
Interesting. I'd certainly be open to that.
But maybe for the food side, I think that you're right, is difficult because of the quality control. And we were talking about this earlier. What's the finite resource that everybody has is time, right? So humans are innately lazy, right? If you have an opportunity to lay on the couch all day, you will.
For sure.
Most people will, right? I don't. I ring the bell every day, but but most people are not like that. They're not built that way, right? So for them to overcome that, it could be like, hey, I'm going to order lunch from the Caffe, and Uber Eats or whatever else, or some delivery company will deliver it to my house fresh, right? And, that's another option too, where you could do online ordering, have it in like a hot bag, or where it's delivered.
We're limiting the modifications.
Correct. I think or make it a limited menu.
Exactly. I think that would be
at least a litmus test, right? So where is it here? The lean startup, right? Basically, it's the scientific method of testing new ideas, right? So say, for example, you want to do it just with wraps. Inventory is all mostly cold, right? None of your, you have a couple that are warm, very quickly. And then for the coffee drinks, which you can probably find a way to keep better double insulate cups or something like that, which obviously would change costs. But there's opportunities where you could potentially add that as a value add to customers at some point, right? I'm not saying nothing's built, Rome wasn't built in a day, and I'm not saying it's going to happen.
Everything you do, if you brought in anytime you bring in a new product, you have to remember, or a new process, the back of the house challenge that comes with that. And that is, do we have the room to bring in more paper goods?
Do you have to get a new POS system that sends a ticket to the back, or whatever. So, yeah.
And so either we limit what people are used to as far as their modifications, whether it be a breakfast wrap, breakfast sandwich, lunch wrap, quesadilla, shake, their latte. I mean, just a latte alone, easily 1,000 different.
How many different milks you can add to it? Extra coffee.
4 different milks,
flavoring,
20 different syrups, sugar-free syrups. I mean, decaf.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
The foam, how you foam it.
I think it's just ERP thing too, like where you're, you're having all those different options, and it's also part of your inventory control too. So
ERP,
electronic records processing. So basically, you have all of your inventory built into the system, and then electronically you had a POS system connected to it that every time you sell eggs, it registered, okay, they used 3 eggs or 2 eggs for this omelet or 3 eggs for this omelet. So they know it's 3 eggs been taken off the inventory. So then you have a par level that you need to maintain, or a warning level, like, hey, we only have 2 dozen left, or, whatever.
Right.
You go through it so fast, but let's say we need to reorder, and it'll send an order to your distributor. Right. So that's where you get to the higher level, and
that would be a scaling.
Right. That's when you're you're integrating software as your process control and eliminating some of the back checks that you're doing now.
Right.
Right. So, I mean, there's a price point change to that as well. Right. And it's a capital investment, and you need the space to have everything,
the training.
Right. And POS, you and I both worked in bars and stuff. You understand that it can be a pain learning a new POS system, or just understand, they got a new printer, and now it's all tablet based or whatever. Right. So anyway, that's interesting. So really it is consistency, customer service, and quality control.
That's right.
So successful cafes, restaurants can use that as a model, that if you can work out consistent hiring, right, quality control, customer service built into that hiring, then the process of ordering, maintaining your margins by having fresh product in there,
right.
And then financially controlling the alternative revenue streams once you've gotten your baseline of business built.
Sure.
Right. So
interesting.
So Tom's taken this and it made it a successful business. So I guess the other thing, because RTB means to ring the bell, right? And I have multiple backgrounds in sports and military like you, but for me, it's boxing, right? And rugby and the military, and I stay on a path and place discipline. So what helps you ring the bell every day?
What helps me ring the bell every day?
What drives you? Like this poem that my dad wrote helps drive me. My family, the want to leave a legacy for my family as well. So not for me to be financially successful, but to leave a legacy of that. I've left the world a better place.
So I'm going to risk sounding a little shallow, but I know what it's like to live without, and I don't want to go back to it. I think the idea scares the hell out of me.
Right. So fear, not fear,
I would
but
say a fear-based anger.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what drives me. But when I say a fear-based anger, not something that is a lashing out, it's a this is what I have to do. The anger kind of subsides when you realize the good that I'm doing, the jobs that I'm providing, the convenience that I'm providing, and the quality of life I'm able to give for my family. But I think what gets me up in the morning, like when I wake up and I hear, well, you're the boss, you can go in whenever you want, get up, is to the fear of being without. And I don't mean that to sound like a shallow thing. It's not a shallow thing. It's a self-motivating thing. I want a more efficient life. I want to be able to do what I want to do when I want to do it. I think it took me a little while to realize that I love what I do. Mm-hmm. This doesn't feel like work. Once I think I realized it didn't feel like work, that, man, you're good at this.
Right.
You like this. It doesn't feel like work. So I'm able to jump out. It doesn't feel like a chore. I'm up. Yeah. I'm moving around, mm-hmm. and I like the energy that I'm able to bring to my employees, and my employees in turn give me back that same energy level. We keep a high energy level. Just to touch on the process you were saying before, I think one of the things that we do is we make sure that we're moving quickly, but never at the expense of accuracy.
So that's a military thing, right?
Yeah.
So it's if you
sure.
move fast, you're slow, moving slow but efficient, right? When you do weapons training, right? If you try to go through it fast, you'll mess up.
That's right.
If you do it slowly but accurately, you'll do it the right way the first time.
That's right. And when it comes to making a wrap, I'll say to them, like, guys, this is a cafe job. No one's life is here on the line. But if you ever want it to be on the line, meaning you're going to take on more responsibility, you better be able to show you can handle this.
Right.
You got to start small. You're not going right to this. You're starting off small. So show that you can do it on when it's not important. Then you'll start to be trusted with more responsibility and things that are more important. And that's the step that you need to show. So I enjoy that process.
Right.
I think some of them think that it's, and I hear it all the time, I'd love to start a cafe. I'd love to start a cafe.
But they think it happens overnight. And they don't know it's 16 years, right? The patience to build that and to grow it from literally nothing.
That's right.
To where you are now. I think that's the big disconnect. And a lot of people like, oh, I could do what Tom's doing.
Right.
You know how long it took to get here? Right. It didn't happen overnight. And how many nights I lived here. Right. Like that's me. I'm just scrambling up this business slowly but surely. And I know it's not going to happen overnight. Right. But I am taking the steps to put down the foundation so that when it does scale, the processes are in place.
The business will tell you when to scale.
100%.
It will tell you when to scale. It'll tell you what to go next. But I think the most important thing is just to start. And I think that was the
just do it. Just get after it.
You have to get after it. Just start.
Start small, get after it. Yeah.
I was as scared could be. Doing my own thing. From a C-130 flight mechanic to owning a cafe was a quantum leap. It was a different, like jumping through a black hole. Where am I? What am I doing? How am I going to do this? I'm just going to keep it regimented. I'm going to keep it high energy, and I'm going to do it better than what the person did it before me. And that's it.
That's all you can do.
That's all you can do.
Especially in the food. Like for me, customer service is one of the most, like for bartending, I will always judge the S out of a bartender.
Right.
I go to a bar and I'll ask for a Manhattan or an old fashioned. If it's not good, I'm like, I'll never come back here again.
Right.
Because
did you fake the funk?
Huh?
Did you fake the funk? Meaning,
right. Did you throw whiskey in there and like bitters? That's it. No, do it the right way or don't do it at all. And for me, that's important. Like same thing with food. I don't like to be rushed in a restaurant.
That's right.
It's at my pace. I'm not going to hang out there and lollygag and take up a seat for you. But if I'm there at a dinner and I'm ordering multiple courses, I don't want to be rushed through. And that annoys me.
For sure.
When I go to, that just bothers me. So
that's actually a really good thing. A point about the difference between being a cafe and being a diner. I think some people walk in and they think they're going to get table service from beginning to end. But when you say, listen, that's not who we are. What we want is people to come in, lounge, and stay as long as you want. Get a refill of your coffee. We're a cafe. But listen, you want to get in, you want to get out because you have a bus to catch, because you're on your break from lunch. We will not waste your time. You place that order. If you're standing 7 people online, we're going to move that line through. We're going to get you your food. You're going to get it hot. You're going to get your drink cold, and you're going to be out the door. That's the value that we think. Besides the fact that we do everything we can to keep our prices as low as possible, we will not waste your time.
Right.
But if you want to come in, you want to read a newspaper, go sit in. Nobody's bothering you. You're not taking somebody's table. You're not taking money out of anybody's pocket. And
I think that's a big difference. That's a big difference, right? Where most tables or restaurants want turns, because their servers want to make more money in tips, etc. You've kind of pushed that model to the side, or made it a hybrid model where, you can sit here as long as you want, and it's just a space at that point, right? And yeah, you can tip your server if they're doing a great job.
That's right.
If not, obviously I always feel and you probably the same way, I always feel obligated to tip, but I think that's an important hybrid model that most people haven't realized yet.
Right.
So.
Right. It's interesting. It has been, there hasn't been a model that Scott and I have seen that we've tried to model it from. We've tried to listen to what we think the customers want. We look at the look on their face. What is it the feedback we get online? How do we adjust to this? Train the employees, get out there. Listen, the line is taken care of. Go out there, go bus tables, see if somebody can get a refill, see if they want a glass with their iced tea. Right. That type of thing. So
I think voice of the customer, and we always say that in any business, when you're first starting out, and this is a good tip for anybody, is take that voice of the customer. Tell me what we can do better. You didn't sign a proposal. You didn't take the deal.
That's right.
Tell me why. What could I have done better? Because I really want to improve. And that for me is the EQ that I've always had being in business and sales, is that, you can always get better. You're never that person. Oh, I'm too good. I'm the best person.
Right.
You know what? There's always something better. And I learned that fighting.
For sure.
Getting beat up, right?
For sure.
When I box, you get in a ring, you think you're a badass, you're a badass. All of a sudden you walk into a ring and you totally expect the guy, and this person beats you up because you thought you were better and you didn't improve.
Especially, what's the shot that hurts them most? The one you didn't see coming.
Correct.
Somebody hits you and someone writes something online like, wow, I didn't see that coming. The first thing that goes through my head,
how do I fix it?
Is how do I fix it? Yep. You just made me better.
Problem solving, yeah.
I don't, you do have to have thick skin, and you just have to reinterpret the negative energy that you got and just say, you know what? I'm going to fix it. I'm going to fix it.
Right.
Not, oh, I can't believe this.
Take ownership. You're taking ownership of it.
Just got to fix it.
Sorry this happened. We're going to get on it right now.
Yep.
It's my fault as the leader, owner of the cafe.
That's right.
I will take care of it personally. And next time you come in, let us know if the service is fixed or the problem is fixed.
We like it. We like it.
So, Tom, thanks for coming today.
Oh, thank you.
Sitting down with me. Obviously, follow Caffe Mode on Facebook, Instagram.
It's been an honor to be on.
I'm glad you could be on with us today.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Thanks a lot.
All right.
Good luck, man.
Cheers.
Ring the bell.
Ring the bell every day, baby.